Welcome back. In this video, we'll be treating HTML attributes. An attribute is used to define the characteristics of an element, and it is placed inside the element's opening tag. All attributes are made up of two parts, a name and a value. Let's take an example of the acronym tag. Acronym in this example is the tag. The title is the attribute to the acronym tag containing a value as soon as possible. As we can see, the name, which is the title, and the value as soon as possible are known as attributes, while ASAP is the abbreviation being enclosed by the acronym tag. So let's navigate to our text editor and try it out. Now, let's open up our basic file we have been using. Let's now go to File, Save As, and save this as acronym, and click on Save. Let's rename the title to acronym. Good. So now let's open and close the acronym tag. Now let's type the abbreviation ASAP. Let's give the acronym tag an attribute called title. Now title is the name. Now watch this syntax closely. Equal to, then in quotes, the value of the attribute comes in between the quotes, which is as soon as possible. So let's save it and reload it on our browser. Save. Let's go to the file where it's saved. Right click on it, open with Firefox. So this is what we'll have ASAP. You'll be wondering, I didn't see any function of the attribute. Once you over this ASAP with your mouse, you see the title coming up as soon as possible. We can achieve this same functionality with another tag called abbreviation, and it is denoted with ABBR. So let's close it to with ABBR. ABBR. Let's save it file, save, and let's reload our page. The same thing, it works as well. Once you over it, it brings up the as soon as possible. Since we need to note about HTML attributes, HTML attributes provide additional information about an element. That is, adding an additional information to the acronym. The acronym here is ASAP, and the title, which is the name, and the value, which is the as soon as possible, is adding additional information to the acronym ASAP. Now, HTML attributes are always specified in the start tag. Note where we added the attribute. It comes at the opening tag, and not at the closing tag. So if we want to write any HTML attribute, we place it at the opening tag and not at the closing tag. Note that attributes come in name and value like pairs. HTML attributes always come in the name and value. Like in the case of this title attribute to the acronym, title is the name and as soon as possible is the value. Take note of the syntax, which is the equal to and the in quotes where the name is being written. Let's treat some other kind of HTML attributes. In HTML, we have what is called the core attribute, and the core attribute in HTML language is the ID attribute, class attribute, style attribute, and the title attribute. You will understand the ID attribute very well when we move to the CSS course, and the class attribute when we move to the CSS course. The ID attribute and the class attribute is used to link a particular tag to CSS so that it could be styled in CSS. The ID and the class is used to style a particular tag in CSS, and the style is also for CSS as well. It is used to create inline styling in CSS. The title attributes, which I've already treated in the example. So let me just give you some little syntax on how the ID attributes, the class attributes, and the style attributes looks like. So now if I have a tag, an element or a tag of paragraph, I can add an ID attribute to it, saying ID is equal to, in quotes now, let's say the ID of this attribute is paragraph 1. So once we are doing CSS, we could call this particular paragraph by the ID, by this ID called paragraph, and style it. As well as the same thing with class, is also have the same syntax as well. Here we just be class and is equal to, and as well as with the style attributes too. Here will be style and is equal to, and the CSS code will come in between here. CSS code comes here. This particular core attribute I used to style HTML tags with CSS. One other attribute we also want to note is the internalizational attributes. They have two types, the lang attribute and the directional attribute. They are actually added to our HTML document to give added information to our document, and it is always specified in the HTML tag itself. Like if you want to use the lang attribute, you can say lang is equal to en in quotes. This tells the browser that we are writing in English language. They can be specified in other languages as well. And the directional attribute tells the browser how to arrange the text, and it has a value of RTL, which means right to left. Like every English language is written from left to right. For instance, if you are writing Arabic language now or Arabic web page, the directional attribute here will be right to left, as well as English language is left to right. So, but by default, the browser takes its directional attribute to be left to right. So there is no need of us specifying it, since by default it is left to right, and that is what we want. Another way to give another example of the directional attribute, we can use the BDO tag. The BDO tag stands for bidirectional tag. We can now give it the attribute of direction and select it be equal to, in quotes, RTL, which means right to left, and type. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. So if we save this and run it on our browser, we have, let's see what happens. Now it has turned it otherwise. So if I should copy this line and paste it down here and change this to left to right and save it and reload it here, we will see. Let me add the BR tag so we could understand, we could differentiate the two, and reload it here. Let's see what happens. Okay, there's a mistake here. Let me clean this W. Okay, if we load it, you see, let's see what happens here is left to right in normal English language, and this is here, it has changed it to right to left in the other way round. So, but by default, even without the directional attributes, it still gives us our normal left to right, and so that is the reason why we don't specify it. Now we will treat HTML comments. HTML comments enable us to describe a line or block of code in our document. It aids easy reading of the code in the future. The syntax of HTML comment is as shown in the slide. The HTML comment comes in between the square bracket, the exclamation mark, and the double dash. HTML comments could either be a single line or multi-line comment. So let me specify a single line comment right here, and let me say double dash. I'll come to the middle and add a comment here and say this is a comment, and save it and go to our browser and reload it. You see, it will appear in our document. It just enables us to explain what this line is. So if I want to comment about this line, so that when I come back to my code, I could understand what I'm trying to do at this particular line, I can use the comment, this HTML comment, to do that. I can write, I am trying to test bidirectional tag. So even after 2 weeks, I come back and look at it, I will know what I'm trying to do with these 2 lines of code. So it explains that for me, and it doesn't show on our browser when we load it. Another way, we can also use it to comment out a large number of text or explanation. The way we do multi-line comment in HTML is that we just bring this one down, and we can also add another line of code here and type something like, this is another line. It doesn't change anything, and when we load it, it still won't show. Another use of this HTML comment, if we are trying code, we can use it to comment out some code if we don't need that code at that particular time to show. I can now bring it right here and double dash and use on my square bracket, and if I load it now, you see that we go away. It has commented this one out. If I don't want to delete it, for instance, but I don't want it to show at at the browser, so I can just comment it out like this. And once anytime I want it to show again, I will just delete the comment, plain the comment, and save again and go back. If I reload it, you see it comes up again. So that's what we're treating in this video. Hi, this is brought to you by codebasket.com, and don't forget every class has its own exercise, file and video for easy comprehending that are made available for members only. So if you're not yet a member, why not visit our site now, www.codebasket.com, and sign up as a member to have access to this exercise, videos and files and other additional add-ons. So see you, cheers.